It's Friday, Friday. Doug, it is good to see you. It's good to know that it's Friday.
Is Friday your favorite day of the week? Do you have a favorite day of the week?
I I think I enjoy every day. Um, I think I've mentioned on the show before that one of the activities I did a decade ago was write my own obituary, and in that concise story of my life, I assumed I died on a Sunday evening. So not that I didn't want to go to work on Monday, but
Oh, yeah,
I enjoyed the entire weekend was my assumption. So it was a beautiful thing.
that's hilarious.
So this week's disclaimer, in case you thought of bringing your fireworks inside, don't do that. Not going to work out well.
Yeah,
But
that's probably on the disclosures of whatever bottle rockets or
oh yeah,
snakes.
it is. That's where I got it.
Oh, did you
Yeah,
really?
yeah. So I think if you come back next week and you want to share with us, you could probably find a new YouTube video that somebody did it indoors between now and next Friday. So just thought I'd throw that out there in case you were wondering of what crazy things you can do with your time, energy, and resources.
Knee high by the 4th of July. I love to look at corn and beans when I'm driving, and my goodness, the corn in Indiana it just blows me away. The genetics, how they grow it, what's happening, and it's like waist high right now.
It depends. Connie and I were driving in Amish territory last week, and some of it was, some of it wasn't. But
Well, up there, the at least around Warsaw area, some of those fields are pretty sandy, and so unless you're using irrigation, your corn might not look so good.
yeah, well,
Listen to me. I have no idea what I'm talking about. There's probably some farmer watching this right now, like, what the heck? You guys don't even know what you're talking about.
what
And you would be right.
what was really funny is I was walking through Shipshawana, which is an Amish territory, and Connie, Casey, and Kevin, my family members, were in the shops, which I nothing against the shops, but I can hit those shops up in probably 10% of the time that it takes them to do it. So once I've kind of expanded my attention span on that, I move on. And so there was behind this particular building, there was a grilling store with all kinds of grilling stuff. So I was intent on going and checking it out. And there was an old Amish guy staying at, he was sitting in the shade. It was a hot day. He's kind of just got his eyes closed and like this. And he looks up at me and says, the corn needs this heat, which I don't know. I don't know anything about it, but I Googled it. I go, oh, he's right.
As I understand, like they have one good rain in July. That's it. That's all they need.
Yeah, yeah. And the other piece of wisdom
Right.
the other piece of wisdom he gave me, which some Amish wisdom, was I went to the grilling store and I came back with two things in a sack that I bought. I'm like, I should have just sat down here and talked with you. I have more money in my pocket. He goes, you had a decision. True story.
That's hilarious. Did you take it back?
I was like, I should have spent more time with him.
That's hilarious.
It was an entertaining conversation with that fellow. So it's a 4th of July weekend, or I guess I don't know if it's weekend. It's 4th of July coming up next week. I don't even know when I guess Thursday is the actual holiday. That it seems like over time that Mondays have always been the holiday lately, but that's middle of the week kind of thing. And Independence was a costly thing, and I just thought giving would be a good conversation. Like when we talk about independence, somebody had to give something for that. Like freedom is never free, right? Like it doesn't matter whether it's your train of thought that you're free from things, but there had to be a gift to help you in life. And so I just I was visiting a little town north of here, Frankfort, Indiana, and my friend that I was with, he said, "Hey, can we go into the Eagles? And have you guys ever seen an Eagles not the band, but the organization, the Fraternal Order of Eagles. Are you familiar with them?
I've driven by a few Eagles, but I don't know anything about
I
them.
never, yeah, I never went in. So I went in and I thought, well, they had a little brochure to join, and this was like the application to join. And I was like, well, I don't. It kind of felt like a VFW or
Masonic Lodge or something.
no, the Masonic Lodge doesn't have that vibe. It felt like there's a bar, people are congregating and having conversations. So I just decided I was going to read about who the Eagles were, because there's a Moose Lodge. There's all kinds of these different
Our
things.
ignorance is on display right now.
Yeah, so
Corn, we know nothing about the Eagles.
I do. You don't. I do. See what it says, who are we up there? So here's what I
know about what the brochure tells you.
So here's what you guys are going to know now too, in case you didn't know this. The Fraternal Order of Eagles, since 1898, have been responsible for the creation of, can I get a drum roll? Mother's Day.
Nice job.
And so the Eagles were incremental, inspirational in the start of Mother's Day and the protection of senior citizens through the Social Security program.
Let's go Eagles.
There you go. That's who the Eagles are, in case you drive by them. But I was just
Come on,
curious.
take Caroline to an Eagles play if you can for Mother's Day brunch next year.
That'd be really cool. One thing I noticed, and it's offensive to some people, but those sorts of places, not all of them, but like I think it's the VFW that's in Fishers. It kind of has nothing against you guys, but it has the ashtray kind of aroma to it. And that's just, if you're okay with that, that's
Smoke them if you got it.
yeah. So anyway, there's all kinds of ways you can give your time, talent, and treasure. The folks that have been involved with the Eagles, they started arguably two good ideas. So, but I was just pondering, like, giving things away maybe isn't a natural response for people. There's a tendency to want more. And one of the observations that I've had in my career is you can enjoy life more when you give more away. And on my business card, one of the 5 principles that I said is really important is generosity wins. And
what's the difference between generosity and giving in your mind?
Well, I think a real example would be, nothing against the coffee shop I went to this morning, but when I signed the thing, it offers me to give 20% away as a tip for standing there and buying my coffee. I don't know whether that's either one of them. That's kind of peer pressure, but giving might be giving something away I don't want, or something that isn't that big a deal to me. Generosity is an attitude, a mindset, and it may be giving a lot, it may not be giving a lot, it may be giving something little, but it's a generous attitude, or not, you can't define it with words. It's a inspirational attitude of throwing hope somebody's way, whoever that might be.
Okay, I like that. Throw some hope, some.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, I give to those people, not all the time when I'm inspired.
So
those people standing
on tip. And you could give and be generous at the same time.
Yeah, and like
you could give and not be generous at the same time.
Right. It's an attitudinal thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Lunch yesterday, I was up at Woody's down the street, and I gave a tip, and I talked to our waitress Heather, and she is 7 or 9 days, I don't remember, from giving birth to the little girl that was present with this. And after I signed the tip, I ended up giving. I thought about it. I thought, well, she could probably use a little extra, and so I gave even. The original tip was a good amount, but I probably tripled it. And so I don't know if you call that generous or what you call it, but it was just inspired.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So giving there's just so many dynamics of giving. Some of them are to your advantage for financial planning, and some of them are just to your advantage for your soul. Like
you're saying, like dollars and cents.
There's economic benefits, but like giving for your soul. When I give money to one of these people standing on the corner that can be burdensome to you, you know, they could get in traffic or whatever. One of the things I keep $2 bills. Somebody, I think it's James Altucker, talked about $2 bills make people stop. So I have a bunch of $2 bills roaming around, but to give to that person standing on the corner, whether they're a hoax or whatever they are, what it forces me to do is to look that person directly in the face and say, have a good day. And I don't know that I would otherwise. I don't know that I would take the time for somebody that's really not in a good situation to look them square in the face and consider their situation. So that form of generosity is good for Keith's soul. Yeah, it's a big deal. But there's all kinds of it. Somebody called me this week that's involved with the charity and was asking me for my feedback on some thoughts that this particular charity was considering. And there was I sent them I had to go do the research. There was a scam in can't remember, it was late 80s, 1990s, that people were using John Templeton's name. John Templeton was one of the greatest investors of our time. Templeton has some foundation to create an awareness of spiritual ideas in life. And so Connie and I could afford to give $50 a month to a number of organizations back in that time frame. And almost every single one of them sent us a letter within a 6-month period of time that they'd been scammed for millions of dollars. And as a giver, my $50 maybe wasn't a lot to me or to them. It was to me, but it made me wonder for for a number of 501c3 organizations. Is there anybody awake is there anybody steering this thing that you all got scammed by this thing? Because I could envision how they all got scammed is because they got greedy. And,
well, the business world, growth is always the answer.
right.
So is that true in the not-for-profit world as well?
Probably is, yeah. And it could make you, if you got involved with those things, it could make you cynical towards giving. So that's what I'm saying. There's so many elements of giving that it's really worth I think it's worth your thought over this holiday weekend when you think of what was given. So you and I could sit here in Carmel, Indiana and watch the beautiful flowers hanging out there or whatever, but giving has provided most of us everything that we have in life, whether we want to acknowledge it or not.
I like the thought on generosity. It's good. Perhaps the best way to be generous is with the next generation. I think for me, the best gifts that I've received lately are when somebody pours into one of my sons. They're an extension of me. And I appreciate that. They're saying things with a different voice and a different persona. And it gives my kids the opportunity to hear something maybe they haven't heard before. Maybe something that's been spoken. They just haven't fit into it. And so when you speak to someone else's kids, it's probably the best gift that you could give anyone.
And what's really, I think I've mentioned this quote a couple of weeks ago, was this fella had a horrible father figure in his life. And he was thinking about that old saying, honor your mother and your father. And he couldn't figure out how to do it. And the best way he figured out how to do it was to make that man the father of a great man. And so the idea of doing that to other people, so people that are in your circle, that if you can honor people that are gone, which is really humbling, that I could lift up somebody else's son and honor the father. And the father may never even know me, but that's a generosity of spirit to somebody else. And that's really banging around in my head a lot lately, is to take the time to invest in other people, or maybe even, generosity of spirit with all situations. Like I've been compelled to think about people that don't have people around them anymore, elderly people, and to uplift them and to give them my time to consider their lives and what their lives have done. And so that's a generosity in a different way.
We have a friend of ours who is the voice, or he helps share the voice of people who are really invisible out there. And they're the young folks without parents. and he is the voice to tell their story
Hmm.
and launch them into potential great success. And that's one of the joys of this job is you might have a strength, you might have a vision of generosity that I don't have, or that I've never even thought of, that I get to hear you out on it, and then I get to share it with somebody else. And you don't know where that travels or how it lands with people, but it is the change agent. Um, and it's the spark from curiosity, your own thing that drives you through your unique makeup. And that's probably my favorite characteristic about generosity is it's individually created, it's unique. There's nobody else doing it just like you can do it yourself. I don't know anybody else who gives $2 bills to people on the side of the road. And so when you can have something that you just do that's kind of your thing, it's special. And it's more special than the dollars.
I've been spending a good amount of time with younger folks lately, helping them think through how do you change your thoughts. Like you can think yourself into a vortex of problems. My daughter had brain surgery a couple of years ago, and she was getting poor communication from a local medical system that was leading her to believe for 48 hours that she had another tumor. And the process is, how do I stop thinking about something that's heavy like that? And one of the ways I do it is I just start my day. Like, I have a password that is, how can I love better today? That's one of my passwords. It's a long password, but I have to type it in, and it's resetting my mind, right? Like, it's resetting my mind to start my day. How can I love better today? One of those that came to my mind just as our thoughts is, what can I give away?
Yeah.
Yeah, what can I give away today? And I'm probably more adamant about that idea because I've helped clean out at least 2 houses.
Yeah.
And there's the accumulation phase where you're putting stuff in. You know, we got
some hand sanitizer over there.
Yeah, I got a fancy Sandscape right here that some people gave me, and it does really cool things, but I don't know. I love those people that gave it to me, but I don't know who else is going to want that when it's not sitting right there. And so, what can I give away? And I think just having that attitude, all of a sudden you go, oh, so I was sitting, I was getting ready to go sit in my driveway last night, and my daughter wanted to cut my hair. I didn't, you might have thought this was done professionally.
Nice job.
Yeah, you might have thought it was done professionally, but I have people. And so she's cutting my hair, my phone's blowing up. And so I go, I can get it afterwards. How long can this take? And so afterwards I go look and see who it was. And there was a text. I have a ticket for the something Childress concert, Tyler Childress or Childress concert last night. And if you know anybody that wants it, and then so they're giving a ticket away. And my daughter, who was cutting my hair, had just celebrated her husband's birthday the day before. And one of the things she was going to get him was a ticket to the Tyler Childress concert, but they were $600 a piece, and she couldn't afford that.
How do I not know who this person is?
You have to get with the times. You guys email him some YouTube.
Maybe my son went to that concert. He went to one this week.
It was last night. So yeah. So anyway, somebody gave away a ticket to Tyler Childress, I think that's how you pronounce it, to my son-in-law, who was jazzed to go to the concert. And that's what, like, the people that gave it to him will know for sure that they had just blessed somebody beyond measure. And that's that soulish stuff where you convert your financial capital to social capital, which is a huge deal. So you can be generous with time, talent, and your treasure. All those things are a big deal.
Yeah, I'd like to be double generous.
In what way?
With giving and attitude.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah. You know, there's
Let's see what happens today. Double generous.
Well, I did it on that tip yesterday because it wasn't what I was planning, and then I was compelled in the midst of that.
Probably double generous more than we realize.
Have you guys ever given 100% of your check?
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. The first time Connie and I did it, the waitress literally chased it.
My boys love it when we do that.
Yeah, they literally chased me out of the parking lot. She thought I made a mistake. She thought I didn't understand.
I thought you were the one running for president.
Yeah, she did. No, she just thought I screwed up the math. And so it was pretty funny. But like, uh, you can give away, you can give away stocks, you can give away cash, you can give away stuff, you can give away an attitude, good or bad. I'd encourage you not to give away the bad attitudes, but you can be generous with all those
Keep
things.
those to yourself.
Yeah. And there's some benefits on how you do those things. If you have elevated stock prices, those are a thing to consider giving away, that you can give away capital gains so that it benefits you tax wise. Now, and if you're giving things away, I'd say whether those things be stocks, cash, or stuff, and you got questions about how to maximize it from a financial thing, I think we can offer you a lot of ideas on how to do some creative giving.
On the financial and the giving stuff, a lot of times what I hear in this space from a professional standpoint is, hey, let's help these guys who've worked their tails off at a Fortune 500 company start to live a life of significance. And that's how it's sold. And I just want to encourage you that if you are a hardworking guy and maybe you're in your 30s or 40s and you're working for a big company, maybe the best gift that you can give yourself is different thinking. And maybe that different thinking is, you know what, I don't have to bust it until I have a heart attack in order to start living and start being generous. Maybe it's you giving yourself some grace and saying, you know what, that next promotion, it's not for me. And what you can do with that is then start to live the life that you want to live right now.
Man, there's just so much giving yourself some space, right? Like giving yourself something, because we send our suppliers a newsletter. It's a generous thing we do. We send them a cheer them
He
on.
doesn't. I'm just here.
Well, you send some.
I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah, but we do that, and when we send this newsletter out to them irregularly, I'm just trying to find out topics, because most of these people are aggressive personalities,
Yeah,
wouldn't you say?
they're gifted.
Yeah, they probably are making tons of money.
They are the alphas. They're the quarterback, the point guard, the center fielder, the pitcher.
Yeah.
I mean, they got skills.
They are usually the person nobody thinks to be generous to, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
so
matter of fact, they get taken advantage of.
yeah, and so we were compelled, we being me and Doug, to be generous to them probably 20, 25 years ago. I don't know when we started being generous to them. But one of the topics, when I'm writing the newsletter for them, I don't really, I'm trying to think, what are they struggling with right now in their roles? And one of the topics that one of them told me is the imposter syndrome. I don't belong here. They're making large amounts of money. And if you pair that idea that sometimes success gets out in front of what you feel like your skill set is, and then also that old play, The Death of a Salesman, where organizations will just grind through humans and get as much out of them as they can and leave them kind of lifeless. Being generous to yourself and stepping back from a role sometimes may be the thing you need to live more fully in the years ahead. I had to do that in 1997. I walked away from a pretty good role. And in that, what I was generous to myself is I redefined what retirement is for Keith. And for Keith, it is doing what I want to do. And that means essentially I retired in 1997.
That's the heartbeat of freedom. It's the heartbeat of capitalism.
Yeah.
To be able to think differently and go your own path.
Yeah. Well, if you're thinking about giving, I would just say, just maybe kind of meditate on that idea on a regular basis. Say, what can I give away today? And it may not be much. Maybe you can't afford to give anything away today.
Let's start with generosity.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Like before you give anything away, like think through what Keith was talking about on what's the difference between generosity and giving.
Yeah. Because probably giving stuff just to give it away because somebody put that pressure on you is not going to be the right answer.
Yeah, that's a bad plan. I don't like that plan.
Yeah, no, I did that for a number of years.
I've done it.
I've changed. I don't do that anymore. I'm only giving where I'm really heartfelt compelled to give. And but one of the funny things in that whole idea was that George Strait song, "Just Give It Away." Do you know that song?
Yeah.
And I just think it's a sad song, but it's the reality. If you lose perspective, you're just saying, I don't want anything, or just give it away.
You know what I'm laughing about, thinking about,
But
is that pin you hold.
what about that?
Isn't there a story of giving on that pin? Is
Okay.
that the pin that our friend Mr. Jim bought you?
No, no.
That's not it?
No, this is a nice pin, but that was
That was a very nice.
I think
pin.
it might have been it.
And
It was
our friend gave Keith this pen because he appreciated the way that Keith writes. And I know many of you do, who open and read the newsletter. You love it. We get great feedback on it. But yeah, so our friend Jim gave Keith a really great pen. Was it a Cartier? Is that
Cartier, yeah.
Cartier? I
Yeah.
don't even know how to say it.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. And then did you lose it?
I either lost it in an airplane seat or the taxi ride home seat. And probably it was, I would
So
say
he gave it away, not with a generous attitude, with just a oops.
it was probably in the day, and it's been probably 20 years ago. So I don't know what it would, it's probably in that day's dollars, a $750 pen,
Yeah.
which I would have never bought
Which
for myself.
you can reuse.
Right.
But to follow that up, Keith, you actually did buy it for yourself.
I just didn't know what to do with that. I never had a writing utensil that valuable and the responsibility associated with it. So I went out and bought another one of them. And I think I told Jim that I bought another one. So essentially I was carrying around a $1,500 pen.
And the thing is that was a generous gift. Yes, it was a gift that could be quantified.
Yeah.
But it was a generous gift. It had a lot of love behind it.
Yes.
It's one of my favorite gifts I've ever seen you receive.
And I still have it. It just doesn't. This one is probably $100 pen, which I'm, I could probably use a Bic, but I think Jim got me liking nice pens, and this one is a Porsche brand, and it's not quite as pretentious as a Mont Blanc or other ones, but it's just cool. But I lose this thing all the time. It falls out of my pocket. I was looking for it yesterday afternoon. I'm like, why don't I just carry it back? Because it's such a responsibility. And one of the nice things about giving stuff away is you don't have the responsibility of stuff anymore.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, that's true. Man, we didn't even talk about the stock market. That's one of my favorite discussions in life. If I had to summarize the stock market right now, I'd say pretty good. Things are going pretty good. And we've been in a nice uptrend since October, late October last year. And we're having some changes within leadership, and capital is looking to be treated best. But right now, in general, things are pretty good. And we're always looking out for the opposite side of the trade. And we had that experience last week with an area of the market that just wasn't taking off like we hoped it would. And so we made some changes, but all in, I think things look pretty reasonable right now.
We have a couple minutes. Let me just show you this. If you happen to have a concentrated investment where you own a lot of a single investment, this is a presentation from our friends at First Trust that they gave me, and this isn't a sales pitch to freak you out. This is just to give you a quick overview of why concentration.
What's a lot in one?
10% of your wealth, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, or more, but say 10% of your wealth.
So if you have let's say 100 G's,
$100,000
in one stock,
and you're worth $1 million, that's probably a concentrated position. But in financial terms, the idea of a drawdown means you hit a high point in a value of an asset, and then it drops off from that high point some amount. Well, the importance of a drawdown is if something drops 50% from its high point, you have to actually make 100% to get back to where you are. And because you had a big run up, it feels like I'm playing on house money, but there's no reason to have that mindset, because the money is real money. And so I'm just going to go through this real quick. I know we're running out of time, but these are industries, and the greatest drawdown from 2014 to 2024, the healthcare industry, the biggest drawdown, they had a 66%, all the way over to utilities were down 16%. In general, most drawdowns for an industry is 45%, which is that 50% thing. You're going to have to almost have 100%. And then here's some, how many companies have been dropped from the S&P index since 1990? 424. So every company feels safe and sounds safe, but 424 have been dropped out of the 500. So there's basically new 500. Since 1990, General Electric was down, of big names that you probably heard, it was down more than 80%. From what year is this? 2000. I don't even know who American Internal. Maybe it's AIG. I bet that was AIG. Was down almost 100%. Walmart, all these different companies drawdown since 2010. General Electric was the winner there. Drawdown since 2020 is Meta or Facebook. It was down almost 80%. Since 1990, again, General Electric. Since 2000, that's what it was, AIG, American International Group. I was like, how do I not know who that is? GE again, Meta. All these, I show you all this to give you the idea that all stocks are speculative. And if you've got a position that's weighing heavily on your wealth, give us a call. We'd love to help you and encourage in that way. That's all I got, Doug.
Well, overtime is over.
And happy 4th of July. Celebrate it with family. And if you see somebody that's represented our country, celebrate it with them as well. See you guys.